Hi guys, Miss Form here with another science review video. This one is about genetics vocabulary. Okay, so today I'm going to start with just reviewing our basic genetics vocabulary. We have genotype versus phenotype. Okay, now genotype, remember, is the combination of alleles you get from your parents. So let's do a quick reminder of meiosis. So we start with 46 chromosomes. It duplicates into 92 chromatids. Those separate into 46 each and then 23. Each one of these will have one allele for each characteristic. So let's say mom had an allele for brown hair, an allele for blonde hair. Each one of these will have one of those. 2 will have brown hair, 2 will have blonde hair. And that happens during meiosis and that separation of the chromatids into these gametes. Now, once fertilization occurs, the 23 chromosomes in the egg from your mom plus the 23 chromosomes in the sperm from your dad equals the 46 in your cells that make up you. So that means half of your alleles are coming from mom, half are coming from dad. So that means you have 2 alleles for each trait. Okay, so we're going to represent that with letters, okay? So, for example, genotype, we either have big B, little b, or little b. So when I ask for a genotype, I'm asking for these combinations of letters. There's always going to be 2 for each characteristic, and they're always going to be the same letter, but they may be in a different case, like uppercase, lowercase, okay? Phenotype is the physical appearance or visible traits. Do you have brown hair or do you have blonde hair? Are you colorblind or can you see full color? Okay, so not always are these things that you can really see per se, like round peas or square pants or oval eyes or round eyes. Sometimes it's just things that we can determine. Okay, so for example, this one would be brown hair. This one would be brown hair. And this one would be blonde hair. So if I'm asking for phenotype, I'm asking for what it looks like, okay? So then let's continue. We have a dominant allele versus a recessive allele. So capital letters are used for dominant alleles. Okay, now these ones are going to be the ones where if it is present, it is going to show up. Okay, recessive is represented by a lowercase letter, and this one is only going to show up if you have 2 of them. Otherwise, the dominant one is going to overpower it, it's going to mask it, it's going to hide it so that you can't see it. So in this case, the little b, we only get the blonde hair if we have 2 little b's. This one, because there's a big B there, it's going to mask that blonde hair gene and brown hair is going to be expressed. Okay? Next, let's talk about homozygous versus heterozygous. So if we have capital A, that's homozygous dominant. Okay, so if we review what we talked about in class, homo means same. The dominant refers to if it's capital or lowercase. So in this case, we have 2 big A's, so it's homozygous dominant. They're both the same, okay? So 2 identical alleles for a trait, okay? Here we have heterozygous. Okay, remember, hetero means different. So I don't need this qualifier here if it's dominant or recessive. We know by hetero, it's going to be different. We're going to have two different alleles for the trait. We have the big letter and the little letter. It's always going to be this mix. Now, again, like I've talked about in class, little a, big A is not necessarily wrong, but they really mean the same thing. So by convention, we always put the capital letter first, okay? And I also have noticed some confusion in my classes where they think that because the big A is first, that's why it goes with the dominant trait. And if it was the little a first, it would go with the recessive trait. But that's not the case. If the big A is present, if the big letter is present, it is going to express the dominant gene. Okay, and then last, we have little a, little a. This is homozygous recessive. Okay, again, homo means same. We have two of the same case. They're both recessive. This told us that we're using this little letter. So it is the same, it is the recessive. This is the only way you see the recessive trait as the phenotype. Okay, and then just one more little helper, purebred versus hybrid. So purebred is the same as homozygous. Okay, so that same, it's going to be either this one or this one. Now they'll tell you purebred for the dominant trait or purebred for the square pants gene or something like that. And then hybrid is the same as heterozygous. Okay, so that's going to be the same as this one. It's going to be two different alleles for that trait. Okay, so now let's do some practice. So first we're going to do this side. I advise you to pause the video now if you can, and try to attempt these on your own. And then I'm going to run right through the answers. Okay, so little y, two recessive alleles, so it's going to express the recessive trait. That's blue body. Okay, now we have big R, because they're both big. Even if there was only one of them, the big allele is present, so it's going to take that dominant trait, round eyes. Big Y, little y. Again, this big letter is present, so the dominant gene is what is going to be expressed. So we're going to have the yellow body. Next, we have little r. We have two of those recessive alleles. Since we have only two recessive alleles, we're going to go with the recessive trait, that is oval eyes. Next, we have big S, little s. Because we have that big one present, it's going to go with the dominant phenotype. This is what is being expressed. It is masking the round pants. So in this case, it is square pants. Little s, only two little s's present, so only the recessive gene is present. We have two of them. We have round pants. Next, we have big L, little l. So one big L, one little l. Since the big L is present, it is masking the little l. So we have a long nose. And last for this one, big L, two big L's. This is going to be a long nose as well. Now I want to point out something that I did forget to mention. We are giving the phenotype. They gave us, these are all the genotypes. It's asking for the phenotypes. So these are all phenotypes. These are all genotypes. Okay? Now let's do the opposite. Give the genotype. Here we're putting genotype for each phenotype. So they gave us the phenotype. Now they want the genotype. So again, you can pause the video here. Let me zoom this out a little. There we go. So we can see it all. Pause the video now so that way you can try it on your own. Okay, so now I'm going to get started. We have homozygous square pants. Same dominant phenotype. Okay, so that means it's going to be big S, big S. Same case because of this. Capital letter because this is the dominant phenotype or the dominant gene, okay? Next we have heterozygous square pants. Hetero means different. It's going to be a capital and a lowercase. And again, I'm using S because it's talking about this gene. I need to use the correct letter. Next we have homozygous oval eyes. So the homo means same, but look, different from this one. Now it's telling us that recessive trait. So I know that it's going to be 2 little r's. Again, now I'm using R because that's the letter for this characteristic. Okay? Next, heterozygous round eye. Hetero means different. Round eyes, so we're going to put a capital R and a lowercase r. Stubby nose. Now this one's a little bit different. It's not telling you if it's homozygous or heterozygous. All it's telling you is stubby nose. But what we know based on recessive genes is that the only way to get the recessive phenotype is if you have 2 of the recessive alleles. So that means this must be little l, little l. Next, we have hybrid yellow body. If we remember from our vocabulary, hybrid is the same as heterozygous. So hybrid, it's going to be different. We're going to use a capital L, a capital Y and a lowercase y. Next, we have purebred blue body. Okay, so purebred means homozygous. Those are the same. Now, blue is our recessive allele, our recessive phenotype. So that means it's going to be 2 lowercase y's. And our very last one on this video, long nose. There are 2 different possibilities. So just like here, we knew there was only one option because it's the recessive phenotype. This one, we know there has to be 2 options because it's the dominant phenotype. Okay, so long nose can either be capital L, or capital L, lowercase l. I hope this helped. Thank you for watching.